Hello folks, Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, and we're actually going to take a look at them during the deck tech today for reasons that'll make sense in a second. So I was asked by Nick E to convert a CEDH deck into a Legacy deck. And Nick sent me a handful of deck lists, and I opted for Winota because I myself play Winota in CEDH, and let me just say, this deck tech is probably going to go a little bit long. So, like, if you're here for the matches, there's a timestamp if you just want to jump to those. But we're going to kind of talk some theory for a second. And I'm going to pull up my own EDH list on Moxfield here. Moxfield is a site that you can use to kind of host your various deck lists, but it does a lot more, as I'm going to show off in a second here. So, conceptually, in CEDH, when you're playing Winota, you play a lot of really cheap creatures that are not humans so that you can go and have the things necessary to attack with Winota. And now I'm going to go ahead and flip over to my tags for a second here. Type in tags. Now, a lot of times when you're looking to hit something via Winota in CEDH, you're looking to either get something that really kind of makes you dominate combat instantly. Blade Historian and Rick Steadfast Leader are some of the best examples of that. Or you are looking for something that can cause you to take infinite combat steps or really snowball out of control. And Riona Fire Dancer and maybe like Zealous Conscripts or Kiki Jiki kind of like fit that bill for things that maybe can cause you to go infinite. So when you're playing a Winota CEDH deck, you're trying to walk this careful balance of like, how many human stacks pieces do I have? How many human finishers do I have? How many generic creatures do I have that are going to be able to just attack in to trigger Winota? You've got this like really careful line to walk. And this is one of the reasons why I really like Moxfield for EDH in particular, is like you can just kind of set these conceptual categories for things and show this off to people. So there's a supernatural ad read for you. Okay. Now, when I port this to Legacy, though, there's kind of this problem. When you're playing a Winota deck in CEDH, you're often trying to get the most you can out of turns 1, 2, and 3, and that sometimes means playing 0 mana creatures or 1 mana creatures, you know, your Mem Knights, your Alseid of Life bounties, those sorts of things. But in Legacy, where you can play 4x of things, a lot of those creatures are going to run into Chalice of the Void, or a lot of those creatures are just not going to do well in combat as far as blockers go, because on average, you're going to see more blockers in Legacy than you are in CEDH. So rather than play a whole bunch of small cards that are individually weak, I get to max out on the Goblin Rabblemaster effects. The CEDH Winota deck plays Goblin Rabblemaster as well as Legion Warboss, and I'm even testing Squee Dubious Monarch in it as well. So I'm trying to use these token makers to let me spiral out of control with Winota. Another issue in porting this deck into Legacy is that when you're playing CEDH, Winota is always accessible every time without fail in your command zone. Well, here it has to be one of the cards that I actually draw. And that means I need to play a reasonable game of Magic in the times that I don't actually draw the Winota. So I can't go all in on Winota with as many cheap non-human threats as possible, because in the games where I don't draw her, those cards are worthless. And this is kind of why I've built the deck in the way that I have. When I built the first iteration of this deck list, I had a bunch of things in here. Like there's a 7 mana card. I want to say it's like Angrath's Marauders or something like that. That was really strong. And there's a bunch of things like I think it's Geist Honored Monk that can make you go wide, or maybe you will play Blade Historian or Rick. And then I realized like I'm not going to be able to cast some of these cards. Like Blade Historian is red, white, red, white, red, white, red, white. And so I'm opting to play humans that are castable primarily off of red mana that are still good Winota hits, but function even if you don't have Winota. So the Fireflux Squad is still very good with these tokens that these other creatures are producing. The Caves of Chaos Adventurer is a perfectly reasonable and actively strong threat if you just draw it on its own. So, my Winota has a decent number of human hits. We have 12 human hits, and we get a decent number of looks. And I have a decent number of things that can attack in order to trigger Winota in the first place. Now, are these numbers going to necessarily be like exactly as smooth as they are in CEDH? No, but this is hopefully going to be pretty playable. I tried another Winota deck in the past in Legacy and just kind of found her awkward. The printing of Caves of Chaos Adventure, I think, fixes some of that problem, and being able to stay in specifically red with all of the other threats, I think means you end up with cards getting stuck in your hand a lower proportion of the time. Now, because I am opting to play these white cards, I do lose out on some stuff. So, for example, I lose out on Shatterskull Smashing so that, like, I'm a little bit lower on cards to imprint with Chrome Mox. Or I've removed Blood Moon from this deck so that I can play more human creatures and more cards that make the white cards worth, or the white mana worth justifying. I am sort of a two-tribe deck for the most part. So I have humans and I have goblins. Like, technically there's other things in the deck, but like, we're probably not hard casting this card ever. This is meant to be my acceleration. Whew, this is a thick deck tech, folks. Buckle up. As far as the sideboard goes, I'm mostly hoping to beat fair decks and graveyard-based decks after the sideboarding. So I have 6 additional removal spells that I can board in here. I have 8 additional, let's call them hate cards of various natures. And Fable of the Mirrorbreaker is just something I'm playing to round out the deck list and kind of smooth things out for when my in-out, for when my in-out numbers just particularly don't work well. Yeah, so that was a long deck tech, but I hope that was useful. This is kind of where my head was at in constructing this, and I look forward to people in the comments immediately going like, "This is just worse Red Prison." Well, you might not be wrong, but despite this looking like I just slotted 8 white cards into Red Prison, a lot of thought actually went into constructing this. Anyway, if you're new here, you made it this far into the deck tech, please consider subscribing for more stuff like this, and if you're a regular, throw me a like before this video begins. It really helps out with all the algorithm stuff. Let's battle. Okay, weird hand here. I think this is supposed to be a keep. This isn't the turbo hands that this deck is capable of, but I have a very reasonable turn 2, 3, and 4 plan. And I can make literally every card in my hand uncounterable. So let's see where this goes. I think I'm just supposed to play Mountain so that if I draw Ancient Tomb, I can pivot into playing these things if that's a thing that I want to do. There's a Mox Diamond. Starting Plateau, so we're probably playing against like Knight of the Reliquary, like land adjacent deck list, maybe with Elvish Reclaimers, Merit Lodge in some capacity. Not having the Blood Moons here is probably rough. I'm not expecting counterspells from this deck, so I'm actually going to just play a basic land this turn rather than play a Cavern of Souls. Alright, Thalia's in there. I do not like my odds. I am currently not good against Merit Lodge. I can produce damage incredibly quickly. Ooh, that's going to be good next turn. Alright, let's go Cavern on Goblin. Let's get a little rabbly. See if we end up just attacking into like an Endurance or something. Get my token. Crash in for 3 points of damage. Man, Winota would be hot as a top deck, though. Like, holy shit. Okay. There's a fetch, which is potentially an unnecessary fetch because Yavimaya is in play. Alright, the opponent has picked up a basic land. I can't prove it, but I kind of feel like my opponent has, like, Minskin Boo in hand. Like, they have to have something that made this hand keepable, because, like, all the stuff that I've seen so far just, like, hasn't been good. Okay, there's a Green Sun. There's an Elvish Reclaimer, which can become a 3/4 at instant speed. Sure, you may have Pro Red and crash in for a point of damage. Alright, no attack in. So, the question is, do I want to Fireflux Squad this turn? Or do I just want to play Caves of Chaos Adventurer? Playing Caves of Chaos Adventurer this turn into Fireflux Squad next turn is probably better. But it might not be better. Maybe I just need to keep the pressure up. Like, Fireflux Squad converting one of these creatures into another thing is pretty gas here. Alright. So this one's on Goblin, so this one will go on Human. There is a Fireflux Squad. I think I'm fine sending the metaphorical troops in. Send them. Put Fireflux Squad's trigger on bottom. I think I get rid of the Thalia. Like, the Goblins are valuable here. Although Thalia is better versus Sylvan Safekeeper. Maybe I will target a Goblin still. Alright, so I'll get my Goblin Rabblemaster pluses out first. Yes, I will use that ability. Spirit Guide is like the one. Okay, no, that's not true. One of the few things that I don't want to hit, though. Like, it would have been worse to hit a Thalia. Yeah, that block is fine. This is a lot of damage. Yep, that's fine. Knew that was coming. What, this is 4, 8, 9, 10, 11 damage. Opponent is at 5. I very likely kill next turn. Okay, crop rotation is not unexpected. There is a Thespian stage. This is fine. I still have theoretical lethal through 2 blockers, right? Because this gets blocked, so this gets blocked. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 damage. Fireflux Squad probably increasing that number as well. Ooh, there is a Minskin Boo. Now it's a little tighter. My opponent has 3 blockers. Ancient Tomb. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. I can't play everything. So this gets blocked. I managed 3 points of direct damage if I play Legion Warboss out. Otherwise, I can just play Caves of Chaos Adventurer. Attempt to kill next turn. One of the problems here is I don't know how good Fireflux Squad is going to be. The other problem is that my opponent can activate Elvish Reclaimer, get Dark Depths create Thespian Stage, and then throw the creature at me, so I have to kill Minskin Boo this turn. Which is annoying. I guess let's play this. Beginning combat, I get 2 creatures. So 1, 2, 3, 4 gets blocked. This is only 2 damage if everything goes in at my opponent. So this goes at my opponent, because this is a lethal threat there. Then everything else goes at Minskin Boo. My opponent can make some favorable blocks there. But I think this leaves me in an okay position. Alright, Fireflux Squad trigger goes on the bottom. Target a Goblin token. Let's see what this Goblin token turns into. Oh, it's a Fireflux Squad. I guess this has to go at my opponent. Or sorry, it has to go at the Minskin Boo. That Minskin Boo is very dead. Okay, so these blocks are leaving Minskin Boo taking the 4 damage that I want it to, and killing literally all of my opponent's creatures. These blocks are very good for me. Okay, my opponent realizing what's up has made better blocks. Alright, the Minskin Boo is dead. I think I have very much lethal next turn. Let's go on like Human or something. I don't think it matters. And can you imagine what it's like if I draw Winota, though? Okay, cool. So important info gained from the concession right there. My opponent probably doesn't have game 1 access to something like a Glacial Chasm that could have kept them alive for a little while longer. Okay, I have to decide how I want to sideboard here, because I think most of my sideboard cards are reasonable things that I could bring in. Dead Gone is really nice for getting larger creatures like Knight of the Reliquary out of the way, and it is also good against early Elvish Reclaimers. Generally speaking, I'm not super fond of Trinisphere here. I'm not the biggest fan of Chalice of the Void. Like, it matters, it's not great. So, Dead Gones are reasonable, Furies are reasonable, Magus is reasonable, Fable is reasonable, Leyline is reasonable. That's kind of where I'm at. And just a lot of the question is like, do I want Chalice of the Void? If I take it out, my, curve is very different because my curve mostly starts at 3 then. Is not the best. I might still do it, especially on the draw. And maybe I play this for the Magus of the Moon side of the deck and play 4-ish removal spells. I don't think I want to play Leyline here. I think I play the Dead Gones and 1 Fury. I could also go down some Thalias for additional copies of Fury. Thalia is not great here either, especially on the draw. I could see that, and then maybe we even do that. Just most of the lock pieces out, and we're just trying to play good, honest, red, get them dead magic. My mana does not work here. Yes, this hand is very good. I'm going to play a Caves of Chaos Adventurer on turn 1, I think. That gets me my second land drop. I think I get rid of Legion Warboss here. It is a little awkward if my Caves of Chaos Adventurer just gets, answered and my opponent takes the initiative in the same turn cycle. But a lot of things have to go right for my opponent for that to actually happen. Oh, there's another play. Ooh. That is spooky. My opponent both has a basic land already and has multiple tutors for their other lands. That's not great for me. I think it is what it is. I think I'm priced into this play. Let's make some chaos. This gets me my basic land, which will be a mountain. And I'll pass the turn. I'm hoping to make a very large, very scary trample creature that outpaces my opponent's threats. Swords to Plowshares into attack here is rough for me. But I will take back the initiative in short order, or immediately. Well, it says, haven't seen this card yet. It's good. It's real good. Alright, so I get to venture into the Undercity again. This time I'm going to get 2 +1/+1 counters on my creature, obviously. Oh shit, that's a Winota. Be able to play it in the not too distant future, too. Opponent says not even legendary, wow. Yup. So am I supposed to attack with this? My opponent could put 2 creatures in front of it and trade with it? That would probably be good for me overall. That would probably be good for me overall. And I am going to go ahead and play this pre-combat. Send them on in. There's a Chrome Mox. I can play this Chrome Mox this turn. Okay, I just hit my opponent. I want to play this Chrome Mox. This Chrome Mox guarantees that I can play another Caves of Chaos Adventurer next turn. What's the 4th one? 4th one is draw a card. It's really awkward if I put, Magus of the Moon under this. I could get to the 5th one next turn. Yeah, I think I'm supposed to cast this. Maybe I'm supposed to put Winota under it, actually. Maybe I'm supposed to put Winota under it. This is also sort of a false flag for if my opponent has, a prismatic ending. Okay, there's a Wooded Foothills. Sure. That sends a land out of the deck. There's a Minsk and Boo, which is very good. There's a Hamster. Okay, so they're going to throw one of their creatures, presumably. Okay, they're throwing my Knight at my Caves of Chaos Adventurer. That's fine. And then they're going to try to take the initiative. I will allow you to take the initiative. I'll just take it back on my turn. I also don't know that you have a 3rd basic land. Yeah, I didn't think so. Oh shit, it's Winota. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's really good, in fact. I think that's better than Caves of Chaos Adventurer. But it's very close. Alright, there's Winota. Opponent says, yeah, maybe should have taken a different line. That's fair. I'm very unsure whether or not I'm supposed to attack the Planeswalker or my opponent directly here. Like, there's a very good chance my opponent is just dead if I hit a Caves of Chaos Adventurer. I go ahead and attack them directly. Alright, so let's put the Rabblemaster trigger on the bottom. There is a Thalia tapped and attacking. Does that go at Minsc and Boo? That probably goes at Minsc and Boo. Let's see where this one goes. Oh shit, Fireflux Squad. That's very good. I send that at Minsc and Boo as well. Then the Goblin Rabblemaster is more likely to actually live. There's also the initiative to think about. But I think the Minsc and Boo is the most valuable thing here. I also just get to take the initiative back on my opponent's turn. No, I'm probably taking the initiative back no matter what. Oh shit, I'm at the -5 drain point of the initiative. So I actually probably should have just sent Fireflux Squad. Maybe I should have just sent everything at my opponent's face there. Okay. Minsc and Boo is dead. The Boo is dead. I lose Rabblemaster. I have a really strong board, though. Opponent is opting for the Scry 2 mode, rather than the... Like, the left side tends to be super aggressive, like Forge into Trap is quite strong. Alright, there is a Knight of the Reliquary. Knight of the Reliquary next turn represents Caracas bouncing Winota, which is a little annoying. Legion Warboss. How do I want to do this? If I play Legion Warboss, it makes a token, I attack, I get one Winota trigger, and then I can Fireflux Squad the token into something new, which is very potentially like Magus of the Moon or Caves of Chaos Adventure or another Fireflux Squad. And it guarantees that I take the initiative. Okay, yeah, I like that then. Alright, here. Alright, there's the token. Attack with all. Fireflux Squad on the Goblin token. Winota trigger occurs. It's another Fireflux Squad. Fireflux Squad trigger happens. Yes. Oh, fuck, it's a new Winota. I knew that was possible. I'll keep this Winota. Alright, I went down a creature there. Which is super inconvenient. And this is something that never happens in CEDH because you physically just can't hit another legendary copy of something. Alright, I pick Trap. That puts my opponent to 2. There is a world where they just have a removal spell for Legion Warboss and they crack in for 9. Oh man, them drawing Maze of Ith is really strong there. So I think I'm probably supposed to chump block with Legion Warboss, oddly, here. So that I can keep the initiative, because then I can Archives on my turn, on my upkeep. And then play Caves of Chaos Adventurer. Opponent says, forgot to turn on my stop. Yeah, so now they don't get to untap Maze of Ith. Oh, that's very good. Just any extra body here is so incredibly relevant. Alright. So, I will draw a card. Is a City of Traders and a Spirit Guide. So that's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana, which is both of these cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That is both of those cards, and I do have to use Ancient Tomb. Alright. There's Caves of Chaos Adventurer. Takes the initiative, meaning that I get to do Throne of the Dead 3. Get to look at 10 cards here. Oh shit, that's very good. How do I want to handle this? Probably Fury. Alright, Fury. Deal 4 damage to Elvish Reclaimer. Yeah. Now, I go 1, 2, 3. Play Magus of the Moon, which shuts off Maze of Ith. Meaning that my opponent has to chump block with Outland Liberator to stay alive. Little misplay from my opponent there. They should have used Mox Diamond and sacrificed that to blow up my Chrome Mox. Okay, there is a Glacial Chasm, which is not currently active. Yeah, and opponent says, yeah, that failing to untap that lost that game. Holy fuck, what a complicated game. Wow. Didn't expect to have such a brain buster for round 1. Okay, round 2, I don't have enough mana here. That's an auto mulligan. Wow, this hand is bad. Like, I can play a turn 1 Thalia uncounterably. Do I want to keep this hand and assume that I will draw a reasonable threat, or do I want to mulligan to a hand that can guaranteed play, like a Rabblemaster or something earlier? I think I want to mulligan again. Okay. Well, holy shit, this hand is good. I think I cannot afford to keep Chrome Mox here. And then it's harder. I think it's Cavernous Soul since I have 2 different creature types here. But keeping Cavern and just playing Warboss into Warboss is pretty hot. Oh yeah, yeah, you may absolutely cast your Chalice on 1 off of City of Traders in a way that disappears. Oh shit. When do I use this? When do I use this Spirit Guide? I think I use it to play Winota on turn 3. I think I just play Plateau and pass. I think that just snowballs hard enough that that's how I want to do that. But that's a little unclear to me. Okay, so here's tapping the city. Magus of the Moon. Okay. So now it's a little harder for me to do cool shit. Guess this means I'm using Spirit Guide to play Warboss. That's not great. Because, like, I play a Goblin token that's forced to attack in. I'll need to draw another land. Assuming I hit land drops, my hand is still incredibly good. And I assume that's probably no play from my opponent this turn. Oh, fantastic. There we go. Warboss into Warboss. This is really good for a mulligan to 5. Like, I feel like that goes without saying, but, you know, I'm gonna say it anyway, because gotta talk. So, my opponent can trade with the Warboss. I am okay with that. This opens up my mana to cast Winota or Caves of Chaos Adventurer, which I think is a net positive for me, even though this does give my opponent mana. Yeah, Chalice on 0 is fine. Rabblemaster is fine. I'm at a very advantaged position here. Like, very, very happy with this position. Oh shit, Fireflux Squad. Okay, is Fireflux Squad or Caves of Chaos Adventurer better? Both are insane. Caves of Chaos Adventurer sets me up to Winota next turn. I probably am supposed to take the Caves of Chaos Adventurer this turn. Alright. Make my creature. I'll offer the trade for Goblin Rabblemaster, like, I'm totally fine with that. I am dealing a shit ton of damage right now. Yeah, that's fine. Opponent goes to 9. Willing to take a little bit of damage here to play the Caves of Chaos Adventurer. Take the initiative, get my basic planes. I do not need to play that this turn. Yeah, my opponent's in the unfortunate position where they drew multiple lock pieces and I didn't. Yeah, man, this Winota, holy shit. Like, it would have been Winota for 4 different permanents. Delicious. Okay, and this is where this side of the deck comes in. So, like, Ballast is out, Trinisphere is out. And this gives me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards. And then I can decide if I want Magus of the Moon or Thalia. I think Thalia's First Strike is, like, legitimately good here. Like, First Strike is very good against Goblin Rabblemaster and Legion Warboss. Hand's a little slow. Has turn 2 Fable. No, it doesn't actually have turn 2 Fable. It has turn 2 Rabblemaster into turn 3 Fireflux Squad or maybe Winota. This is probably good enough to just keep. But it's possible I'm just supposed to mulligan towards removal here on the draw. My opponent has gone to 5 cards. Okay, they are going to get a turn 1 play, which means they will come out ahead of me. They have a turn 1 Fable. I will have some cool shit in a little while. My opponent may just have the more aggressive hand here. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, if this land is Cavernous Souls, it doesn't actually curve Rabblemaster into... Wow. It doesn't actually curve Rabblemaster into Fireflux Squad. My hand was supposed to be a mulligan. I messed this up. Take some damage here. There is a Thalia. That's not bad. Now my hand was supposed to be a mulligan. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. Alright. Alright, let's play a Thalia and kind of stem the bleeding, but I think my opponent is going to beat me here. I'm not used to playing with Cavernous Souls in these decks. Like, normally, like, a red mana source is a red mana source, and now I'm having to think about new things. Well, let's just top deck a Fury and have everything work out okay. At a minimum, the Goblin token is supposed to attack in. If I was in their position, I would probably attack in with every permanent over there. Take out the War Boss, because Reflection of Kiki Jiki, copying that is probably scarier than it copying this. It's super awkward that I'm just drawing multiple Ancient Tombs here. Yeah, I think I just should have mulliganed. Like, I think I just punted this game. Actually, once I go to 6, I'm just, like, dead, right? Maybe 3 of these. Well, not technically. I think I'm just going to go ahead and concede this game. I think I lost this one when I didn't mulligan. This is actually not that bad of a hand, but I'm going to mulligan it. Assuming I throw back Thalia. This turn 1, Chrome Mox, Imprint, Spirit Guide, Rabblemaster into turn 2, Caves of Chaos Adventurer. Absolutely a keep and is quite strong. I think this line is better than just going all in on the Caves of Chaos Adventurer on turn 1, by the way, just before someone points out that line in the comments. This just makes my opponent like having to have a Dead Gone or Fury in their opener to answer this. Otherwise, like, this alone is an incredibly potent threat. Okay, there's an Ancient Tomb, Chrome Mox. Is that a Fable? That's a Fable. Sure. That is quite good. I want to just deal 2 damage to that and crash in with Rabblemaster. Kind of. Like, that's a lot of damage. Yeah, I think I'm just going to take that damage here. And then I can save my soul land and potentially play a 3-drop next turn instead. Alright, make a token. Crash in. Yeah, that's just 6 damage this turn. That is damn near lethal next turn with Goblin Rabblemaster alone. Not that I expect Goblin Rabblemaster to actually get into the red zone again. Yeah, no time for unlicensed hearse here. Okay, there is a Chrome Mox. My opponent could have a big dumb card of their own. Oh shit, Fire Confluence is so good against me right now. Yeah. My opponent fucked up. Oh wait, hold on. No. It's just not displaying properly on the card, like it's not changing to the multiple modes. I see. Okay, so they did it correctly. 2 damage to each creature, destroy target artifact. That's very good. And punishes me for not playing Caves of Chaos Adventurer out. That's bad news for me. That's worse news for me. Yeah, I think I lost this one. I think it was correct for me to take the line that I did. It's like exactly Fiery Confluence that stops me from playing Caves of Chaos Adventurer in this turn cycle. Wow. That's a hell of a swing in the other direction. God damn. Not even mad. Mostly just happy for the opponent. I will go ahead and concede here. GG. So this is an opening hand for the game Magic the Gathering. It's a keep. I have no idea how I am going to play it. How I play it is highly dependent on what I see from my opponent in the first turn. We're playing against a mono black deck. Understood. Wasteland is possible, but maybe unlikely. Alright. Sudden Edict is a thing that can matter. Dark Ritual into Opposition Agent is a thing that can matter. I think I want to play around Sudden Edict by playing Goblin Rabblemaster this turn. The issue with doing that is that unless I draw another land, I'm not actually good at playing a follow-up spell. If I just have the initiative, is it fine if I don't play another creature immediately? Probably. let's take the initiative. So my nightmare world is Dark Ritual into Opposition Agent into Swamp and Sudden Edict. Otherwise, I think I'm okay. Because next turn, assuming I dodge Sudden Edict, I just play out Goblin Rabblemaster, and then I'm good for the rest of the game. Alright, land drop. Thought sees me. That gets to take my Goblin Rabblemaster, which is very good. I just can't imagine any world where you take something other than this, because this protects from a Sudden Edict, it protects from Liliana of the Veil if that's in the deck. Okay, I guess I can imagine one world, and that world is in the world in which you have, like, Dark Ritual and Helm of Obedience both in hand. Going to the Forge for 2+1/+1 counters. Not find a way to dodge Sudden Edict. Yeah. If I find a cool card here. Third Thalia. Third Thalia is not what I am looking for. I am debating whether or not I am supposed to play Trinisphere. Trinisphere protects against one niche line that results in me dying next turn, but means that every 1 red and 2 colorless card that I draw after this is considerably worse. I guess my opponent's just dead next turn, right? Like, in the worlds where they don't have the relevant cards, it's just 7+5 is 12. Alright. I will draw Chrome Mox next turn, and it'll be funny that I played Trinisphere. I'm just waiting for it to happen. Ooh, there is Wasteland. Like I said, unlikely but possible. Okay. I will go, it's, just double check myself. Yep, I want to go to Trap. You take 5. There is a Goblin Rabblemaster. So this is what I was talking about. Like, I lose out on that by playing Trinisphere. My opponent has Sudden Edict. This is the spot before this attacks. Nope, no Sudden Edict. Okay, there is a Lotus Petal. I am bit in the butt a second time by my own Trinisphere. Okay, they have the Sudden Edict. They absolutely should have played that before combat. Because if I hit a land, I could have played that land. Like, that's a pretty big mistake. Like, my opponent doesn't get punished for that. But in a lot of other worlds, they could have. Okay, they've got the Helm. That is annoying. Yeah, so I lost this game for playing my Trinisphere. Because otherwise I would have attacked with a Goblin Rabblemaster this turn for lethal. Frustrating, it is what it is, but I played around Dark Ritual into Helm of Obedience, which I would have lost to. I also didn't need to, like, see all 4 Thalias this game, you know. Okay, Chalice and Trinisphere aren't particularly good here. I will be boarding all of those cards out. Or maybe Fable and some amount of this stuff. I need to play 6 of these. Probably just the removal spells. I don't really like Magus of the Moon. I need my white mana. The upside of Magus of the Moon is that it protects me from opposing Wastelands. Could play a turn 1 Legion Warboss, but that doesn't really sound good. This is just like too many Chrome Mox in one place. Yeah, this is a much, much better hand. I'll keep this. I guess I want a second Ancient Tomb if I specifically do get Wastelanded. Guess I'll toss back Lotus Petal then. We're very much wanting the goblins to go all the way here. I'm good against Sudden Edict. Very bad versus Plague Engineer. And it's awkward if I draw humans as of right now. And that's, like, since it's awkward that I draw humans, that's an argument for keeping the Lotus Petal over Ancient Tomb number 2. Okay, my opponent has mulliganed to 5 and has started with a Leyline of the Void in play. That's fine. I start with a Legion Warboss at, on turn 1. Like, I outpace Helm combo the vast majority of the time. Oh, cool. Plateau's actually nice, because that lets me curve into Winota next turn in some worlds. Now I don't have to commit the cavern to a certain creature type. Double goblin tokens. Deck feels dumb sometimes, I'm not gonna lie to you. And by this deck, I mean any Moon Stompy variant. Like, this is just so much damage. I haven't counted yet, but I imagine this is lethal next turn. Okay. Him to Turok is totally fine. Okay, I don't need that Fury. Always yield. And send all of these in. Mentor on a Goblin token. Mentor on a Goblin token. And then we can actually count and see how much damage this is. Alright, it was 12 damage. The opponent can technically kill me with a Dark Ritual baseline this turn, but they did not have it. And I don't think any of my boarding changes here. Okay, my opponent kept a 7-card hand. I don't think my hand has enough starting mana here. Whereas this hand absolutely does. This is a keep, probably pitching the City of Traders. I don't necessarily get to do something cool on turn 1, but I'm resilient against Thoughtseize, which is something that definitely matters. Play a basic this turn, pass the turn. Him to Turok hitting one of these 2 cards would slow me down a decent amount. But I'm pretty good against Sudden Edict, all things considered. Ooh, that's nice. So, like, my opponent can Sudden Edict me this turn, and then I just, like, get the initiative going, and I don't super care about that anymore. I'm most worried about, like, Sudden Edict. Oh, shit. Sudden Edict into, like, Him to Turok plus, Sorry, you know what? I lost that thought. Plague Engineer is annoying, but not that big of a deal, honestly. Oh, 0 of a deal, actually. So I Fury that away and play Winota, while my opponent does not have Opposition Agent up. Alright, Fury. Exile one of the Caves of Chaos Adventurers. Goodbye, Plague Engineer. Nice. Winota! Fuck yeah! Let's go! Alright. Goblin Rabblemaster. Attack. Winota triggers. Okay. I have missed the first time. I'll take a Caves of Chaos Adventurer. Hell yeah. That gives me the initiative. Which means that while my opponent doesn't have... Oh, I have all 3 of my basics. That's fine. Like, this is an absurd amount of damage. Yeah, I imagine my opponent is dead next turn. Does this go in my CEDH deck? Maybe this goes in my CEDH deck. This is good. Yeah. Okay, what am I looking at? It can't... The hand's a keep. I'll let my opponent think about their hand. So, if I play Chalice of the Void on turn 1, I can play Uncounterable Goblin Rabblemaster on turn 2. Or alternatively, I can just play Rabblemaster into Fireflux Squad, but open myself up to removal. Alternatively, I can fetch Mountain on turn 1 and go Mountain, Lotus Petal, Chalice of the Void, and then not be susceptible to Wasteland for the first turn cycle. I'm not sure here. I think this is one of those times where we do a lookaroo at what my opponent tends to play. Oh, they're a pauper player. I have no legacy data. In the absence of data, I am going to play Chalice of the Void off of Ancient Tomb. That was a very long think before Force of Will, pitching, Ponder happened. I don't think I play out Lotus Petal here. See what my opponent's got going on. I guess I'm scared of Wasteland happening, and I'm not also thrilled. Oh my god. I'm also not thrilled if Doomsday happens. But I probably beat Doomsday now. So this just plays Uncounterable Rabblemaster into Uncounterable Rabblemaster. Which is an ungodly amount of power. Okay, opponent's at 18. There's a fetch. I guess I should put these on. You may ponder. Okay, fetch land. I guess I have no real reason to play anything pre-combat other than just doing this. Alright. Yield to those. Why are we fetching now? Like, if you had a removal spell, that already should have happened. Or is this just lazy F6ing? That's reasonable as well. Okay, the damage is just happening. Opponent goes to 8. And I have very, very, very much lethal next turn. If they can create a Doomsday pile that wins in one turn, assuming they are Doomsday, like, that's fine. I think I'm supposed to still play out the Arid Mesa. I haven't seen enough cards from my opponent yet to, like, know for sure what they are. So, like, there's worlds where I get wastelanded, but I still want to play Fireflux Squad, for example. Okay. My opponent is probably playing a combo deck, meaning that this is good. If my opponent is specifically playing Doomsday, using Magus of the Moon to help fight against their Underground Seas is reasonable. I don't think I'm going to play any of this stuff under any circumstances. Fireflux Squad is probably the card that I am least excited about as of right now. Also probably isn't a Winota matchup. So what I'm sitting here pondering is like my numbers for Winota, because if I just cut 4 Fireflux Squad, my Winotas aren't exactly good anymore, because they only will have 8 hits remaining in the deck, which isn't the best. That probably means I'm supposed to do something like 2 and 2, but it may just be that the haste off of Fireflux Squad is better than Winota giving extra looks at bonus creatures. I'm a little unsure. This is an okay hand. It has 2 relevant 2-turn plays for if this is Doomsday or Storm, but I can't do anything on turn 1. The upside of keeping this hand is that I'm better versus a discard spell. The downside is I can't actually play any of my threats, and I can't do anything on turn 1, not counting Thalia as a true threat here. So I think I'm just going to mulligan this one. This is a better hand. I will keep this pitching the City of Traders. And I have 2 different good turn 1 plays. Okay, that is Island and Pass. I believe that I am supposed to lead on Ancient Tomb, Chalice of the Void here, because I'm actually playing this around a daze. So if my opponent dazes this spell, like, I just get to, like, pay with the Spirit Guide and move on with my life. Okay, they did not. The upside of leading... yeah, it's Cabal Ritual into Doomsday. That's pretty bad for me. Finishing the thought, the upside of leading on Thalia instead is that it taxes ritual-based turns better. And if I play Thalia and it gets countered, I instead could play a Chalice on 2 on turn 2, or a Chalice on 2 on turn 3. Okay, so there are Sheoldreds in the deck as of right now. That's good to know. Looks like it might be a partial Street Wraith pile at a glance. Okay, well, I've basically only got one line here. I play a Thalia, hope it slows my opponent down, and then I hope that I top deck something else relevant. That's unfortunate. So if opponent had this Force of Will, that means that, like, if I would have played the Thalia the previous turn, they would have just Force of Willed that. Although that does mean that I maybe resolve a Chalice on 2 in this turn cycle. Alright, 1 Street Wraith. Okay, Chalice on 2 wouldn't have fucking mattered. Okay. So I get a chance to resolve Magus of the Moon. Here if I fucking draw it like a goddamn boss. Okay. I need to do a daze check. 1 daze, 2 days, 3 days. So I should play around days here. 1 Force of Will, 2 Force of Will, 3 Force of Will. I might have both Force of Will and daze currently. So I'm always playing Plateau. Magus is how I win. I need to play it around days. Means playing it first. I also have to float a white mana now, which is a little weird. Alright, there is a Magus of the Moon. That's in play. There's a Thalia. In play. Like, does opponent have a basic island, like a second basic island as well? Nope. GG's. Okay, final round here. I could play a turn 1 Thalia and then do nothing with this hand unless I top deck well, or I could just ship this one. I think I'm inclined to just mulligan. Chromox, Imprint, Spirit Guide, Cavern on Human, Thalia turn 1 into Caves of Chaos Adventurer turn 2. Fuck yeah, let's go. Alternatively, it could be Caves of Chaos Adventurer on turn 1, but I think that's just worse. That's just, like, singularly worse versus like a removal spell. Right, Chromox, Imprint Spirit Guide, Cavern, on human, uncounterable Thalia. Wasteland is admittedly pretty annoying here. But when my opponent doesn't have Wasteland, oh buddy, we are off to the races. Okay. First of all, how dare you? Draw 1 and a red card. Awkwardly, I cannot cast that due to my own Thalia. Alright, get it there for 2. Opponent's at 18. It's super unfortunate. I really want to play this fucking Trinisphere. Ooh, a Cavern of Souls. Naming Goblin. Sure. Dark Prospector. Very good here. Alright, there is a Plateau. That is fine. Let's play a Caves of Chaos Adventurer. Be lazy and do this pre-combat because my opponent's not blocking the Thalia. Like, let's be real. That is not a thing that's happening. And I get the basic planes here. Crash in with Thalia. Opponent goes down to 16. Feel pretty strongly that if I get these counters on this Caves of Chaos Adventurer, I just win. My opponent could have like a main deck Fury that stops that from happening. Okay, Crater Maker is fine. Like, that can destroy colorless non-land permanents. Not that big of a deal as of right now. Go to the Forge. Put my counters here. Got a 7/5. Other Trinisphere. Am I just attacking for 9? Or do I want to hold Thalia back? Like, my opponent can get a basic land drop out of it, but this is just 9 damage. Then I trample over for some amount of damage next turn and drain 5. Yeah. Also awkwardly costs me some life. There's a Trinisphere. This is just to ensure no mid-combat shenanigans. I guess Munitions Expert plus Goblin Crater Maker can technically kill my Caves of Chaos Adventurer in a way that's kind of awkward. Oh, fuck, I forgot about this. Palace of the Void. Yeah, I would have cast Trinisphere over that. But I shouldn't have played Trinisphere out pre-combat. That was an error on my end. Alright, opponent goes down to 7. Port's fine, that doesn't really do anything right now. That is a Goblin Matron. Okay, it is a Sting Scourger. That's very good. So my opponent could attack, take the initiative. Okay, Matron is going immediately. I don't know that this line gets my opponent to where they need to be. Yeah, they figured that out. So they showed me that they had Sting Scourger. The issue is that if they bounce the Caves of Chaos Adventurer, like, I just get to play it again. Okay, I have 7 cards to bring in here, which is convenient because there's 7 cards that I would like to board out. So the final question here is Magus of the Moon better than Thalia? Unsure. Magus is slightly awkward in that it's likely to shut off my white mana, and Winota is pretty darn good. But Magus also protects me from Port and Wasteland, which I do care about. And it's not like Thalia's really good here. Thalia helps against Pyrokinesis a little bit, but is very bad against the Fury type effects and maybe some of the Pinger effects that could be in the deck. Similarly, well, not similarly, in the opposite direction, playing Magus of the Moon can be really awkward if I like Fireflux Squad or Winota into it in a situation where I still need my white mana or need my Ancient Tomb mana. But I'm like very much not excited about Thalia, especially on the draw. So let's go ahead and do that. Just accepting that sometimes it's awkward. I mean, hell yeah, my opening hand has a Fury. That pretty much immediately means that it is going to be a keep. Fable of the Mirror Breaker is a really strong turn 1 play. File is a very good turn 1 play as well. Alright. So, this is Chromox imprinting Legion Warboss. This into immediate Fable. And I'll get my 2/2. And in the long term, The back half of this card, copying Caves of Chaos Adventurer and or Fury, is just disgusting. I can just hard cast Fury next turn if I need to, although it is going to be my plan to cast Caves of Chaos Adventurer. Taking the initiative that early in the game is just very good. Unsurprisingly, that file has named Goblin. Okay, that is the Horde Master. That's fine. Spirit Guide. Do not believe that I want that card. I'll loot this away, and I'm going to loot away one cavern. Like, I kind of want the cavern, but I'm pretty likely to draw another land. I did. Probably don't crack this turn. I think I'm supposed to attack with this. Alright. Attack for 2. Make my treasure token. See if my opponent vials in a creature. They did not. They'll go to 18. Arid Mace is a little awkward. I think I'm going to forego, like, put off my decision making on that Arid Mesa and just play Cavern here. Put that on human and take the initiative. This is going to let me grab a basic plains, like so. And then next turn, I can hardcast a Fury in some capacity to help deal with my opponent's board. And I don't get 2-for-1'd by Pyrokinesis easily or anything like that. Although my opponent can use like a Munitions Expert to remove the Caves of Chaos Adventurer. Ooh, another one of those. What is the timing on this? Until the end of your next turn, sure. You control 2 goblins. What? Oh shit, it is goblins on the battlefield. That's old templating. Good catch, opponent. Thoughtseize is very good here. It takes my Fury. Yep. The opponent gets to take the initiative back here, which is annoying. I really wanted to get that Forge and make my attacks safe. That removal spell plus Thoughtseize is like a very specific combination of cards that my opponent really needed. Like, because like a removal spell is just not good enough with Fury coming. Goblin Rabblemaster. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I just get to play 2 of those in this turn cycle. 100% take the initiative. That's very good. 1, 2, 3. Rabblemaster. 1, 2, red mana. 3. Now this does make this have to attack every turn. Always yield to those. Don't even have to click on which ones I want to attack. I think I'm probably golden here unless my opponent has like a Pyrokinesis, but if they had a Pyrokinesis, they already should have fired that off. Yeah, they're just going to take the guaranteed block here. Alright, I will take the initiative back. Going to the Forge. I'm going to put 2 +1/+1 counters on one of the Rabblmasters. Fantastic. I will call it a turn there. And I have 3 Goblin Rabblmasters that will attack in next turn. Should I have my way? Like, a Pyrokinesis still can be incredibly strong, and, like, it's possible my opponent could drain me out from 12. Like, shit happens. Okay, there's a Vial activation for Matron. Maybe gets, like, a Sling Gang. Oh, they found Mog War Marshal. They are going to play. Okay, understood. This is a little scary for me. Like, I can definitely die. And all my stuff does have to attack. Alright, I will go to the trap here. Drains my opponent for 5. I mean, that's a blocker. That's worth something. So let's go ahead and make a bonus Goblin Rabblemaster. Actually, I was supposed to play Magus of the Moon before this happens in case one of my opponent's 2 last cards is the removal spell thing. Now that that has happened, I don't know that it matters, and I'd rather hide the information until after combat. Alright. 3 tokens are made. Everybody getting in there. Triggers. Let's always yield. I messed up again. Because these can be played until end of next turn, so I needed to cut my opponent off of mana so that like these chump blocks don't reveal a removal spell that can be cast at instant speed. I have some weird things to be thinking about here. Alright, so my opponent has made some blocks. There's some triggers. Alright, so my opponent gets a 1/1, and then reveals some stuff. Okay, there's the full list. Now go ahead and use one of my treasures. Play out a Magus of the Moon. And I'm going to hold Arid Mesa in hand. My opponent has some scary stuff in exile there. Mana is kind of the limiting factor here. But like, there's a War Chief, there's a Pashalik Mons, and a Skark Prospector. Someone is dead in this next turn cycle, one way or another, I'm pretty sure. Just not sure if it's me or them as of right now. I think a lot of it depends on whether or not my opponent can violin a 3-drop, because I can just play War Chief and Horde Master, like those two alone right there, add a lot of power to the board. Ooh, they do have a 3-drop. Oh shit. That's Muxus. Let's play Skark Prospector from exile, cast Muxus. Yep, there's Muxus. Skark Prospector from exile. My opponent has to sacrifice 2 of these goblins in order to play Muxus. I assume it's Matron and Goblin token? Matron being the first thing that you sacrifice. Okay, there's Muxus. There's a Munitions Expert in exile now. How good is the Muxus? I'll die to like a Sling Gang or a Pashalik Mons, I think. Did my opponent just... My opponent just whiffed on a goddamn Muxus. Magus, Wasteland, Cavern, Vile, Mire. Ugh. That's rough. Yeah, and at this point, they're dead on board. Alright, so I get to draw a card here. Another Magus of the Moon. And a Legion Warboss. Play out another Legion Warboss. We'll copy a Goblin Rabblemaster. Put some triggers onto the stack. Send them. Triggers. Okay, my opponent makes some blocks. I kill them. And we end up with a 4-1 with Winota. Overall thoughts on the deck list? Pretty darn good. Like, that was a 5-0 if I didn't mess up, right? Didn't I punt the one round? Like, I made a very poor decision, and like I lost because of it. So like this was very, very close to a 5-0. There's some really nice synergies in here, but I'm not sure that this deck building is quite perfect yet. So there's some issues in that, like, Winota can hit additional copies of legendary creatures, so like maybe I can't be playing for Thalia in this deck list for things like Fireflux Squad and Winota. I think Fireflux Squad sometimes accidentally hitting a second Winota is an acceptable thing that happens, but I think both Fireflux Squad and Winota hitting second Thalia is kind of bad. So I would be looking at other humans, especially red humans, that I could consider playing in these slots. Specifically, I only want them to have 1 red pip of mana in them, which maybe means no, like, Scab Clan Berserker or something like that, but I'm sure there's good options. I'm not entirely sure how big I want that human to be. Like, I don't know if I want a play that's available on 2 mana, or if I just take another play at 3 mana, or for that matter, if I just take another play at 4 mana. Mana base felt pretty good, all things considered. 3 basics is about the right number. My 1 Arid Mesa could probably just be 1 more basic mountain, and like that would be okay. I wanted to like give myself a chance to be able to have this Arid Mesa be white mana when I needed it to be. It also may be that like you don't need the 3rd basic or the 4th basic land because you're hoping the game is effectively over at that point. Sideboard options felt really good. Felt very confident about that. Like, overall, this gets a huge thumbs up. Like, this was a successful port of a CEDH strategy into Legacy. I enjoyed playing this a lot. I hope you enjoyed watching it. If you did, click the like button on your way out. It helps out a lot. Have a great rest of the day, folks. See ya.